Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Tristan Barracks here, the digital storyteller, and I am super excited to be with you once again for another creative to creative discussion, conversation. And my next guest is really an exciting guest. She is the slayer of mics. She is the ultimate warrior of emceeing, of public speaking and education, and specifically finding your voice. But before we introduce Jam officially to the conversation, I do want to give you a warm welcome. I want to make sure that you guys are doing well, that you're enjoying these conversations that we're having. Again, these are ongoing conversations that we'll be having throughout the duration of this lockdown and hopefully beyond. And my goal here is not necessarily to preach to you and to, try and give you all this information that's useless to you. The goal here is to really pull on the resources that we have in our community, in our collective creative communities, to really share in our different perspectives in different and unique ways, because I really do believe that the new currency that we're going to be utilizing moving forward is the currency of thought, the currency of your unique perspective. So I want to try and really cultivate conversations with people that I respect, I admire, I love their voice and the uniqueness by which they share that. So without any further ado, I introduce to you Jam. How you doing, Jam?
Oh, I'm good.
The slayer of mics.
I mean,
Hold on, let me get some foghorn in here. Hold on. Oh yeah, we got some foghorn playing. Yeah.
yes.
Of course.
Am I
There we
allowed to give
go.
the fingers and do
Of
the?
course, there we go. So, Jam, first of all, welcome. This is our first time like having one of these sort of live conversations, and I
Yeah.
already know it's not going to be the last because there's just so many things that I sort of align with you on
Mhm.
because you're just such an effervescent person and spirit, and every time I'm around you, there's a level of joy that just exudes out of you. I mean, can you just talk about like what first of all what energizes you, what gets you going?
Ooh, I have never been asked that question before. What energizes me? I think and it might sound a little bit like self-serving, but what energizes me is what I know I bring to a room or I
Mm,
bring to others, and
mm,
that impact I know I can make.
that's good.
So when I know that I know what I do and I know I'm good at it, and the minute I'm allowed to do it in its full capacity, that's what gets me all energized.
And you know what? That everything that you just said leads right into the whole idea of finding your authentic voice. And I think when as we were speaking and we were talking a little bit about this sort of idea,
Mhm.
I was really interested in your approach because you said that you specialize in that. And I think
Yeah.
that's something that I feel like most people don't really take the time to do and slow down. I think as creative individuals and business professionals, we're so focused on either working in our business, busy bees, or working on our business that we forget about actually the authenticity of our voice and allowing that to be the stepping stone or the connecting point to connect to our clients or to our audiences. So let's talk a little bit about that. Like, what is that, first of all? What is your authentic voice? Do you have an authentic voice? Do I have an authentic voice? And how do I know that? How do I find that?
I know I have an authentic voice based off the invoices that I submit to people.
I can't. I can't. It's gonna be one of those guys. It's gonna be one of those. So get ready, okay?
um, we all have an authentic voice. Like your voice is yours. Only you sound like you. Only you have the ideas and the passion within you that when you open your mouth, it comes out the way you do. So I've been realizing in the past couple of weeks that a lot of entrepreneurs and creatives are relying solely on the power of captions and copy. And that's great that you could write a winning caption that's going to stop someone from scrolling. But what about the sound of your voice? What about your personality that the minute you talk, it comes out and pulls your audience in? So I like to encourage people to tap into this resource. Your voice is a renewable resource. You don't have to resubscribe every year. You don't have to go and buy it somewhere or shine it out every so often and make it look fancy and all this kind of stuff. It is yours. Why aren't you using it? Like,
That's good. No. That's amazing. And the thing about it is, you say why aren't you using it? But I think even before using it, you have to also kind of reposition the way you look at your voice and the way you look at yourself, right? So could you talk a little bit about that? Because it's
Yeah,
almost like changing the perspective, because a lot of
absolutely.
times people look at themselves and they're like, do I have anything to say? Do I actually have
Yeah.
value?
Yeah.
You know?
So that's actually an exercise I do in my program. And there's a whole section dedicated to who's your Kanye?
I love that. I love
Because
that.
Because if you remember in iconic pop history, T Swizzle was receiving yet another award, and she was up on stage thanking her mom and her cats and her billy goats. And then homeboy Kanye came and was like, "Yo, Taylor, I'm gonna let you finish," but he never did. Like
Yeah, that's
he
true.
never let her finish, and this thing went on for like 8, 9 years.
Hmm.
We all have a Kanye, whether it's a
Mm.
situation or a person that has hindered us from using our voice, sharing our ideas, talking about our feelings, even stating our opinion. And when we discover who or what that Kanye is, and that's an exercise I love doing with my clients, then we're able to like declutter that space, that prime emotional real estate that you have for your voice to shine, and then you could show up. So even though I call myself like the slayer of the mic, I like to think that I'm like the Marie Kondo of public speaking, and I help you go through your memories and figure out what sparks joy and what doesn't. And when we
Mm.
declutter, then you really see people step into their full potential and say what they mean and mean what they say.
That's
That's
good.
good.
That's good. So let's talk about that. So when you unpack that, you kind of figure out a few things like, okay, I have value, right? What's the next step after I have value? Do I write down words that kind of describe who I am? Do I come up with a personal vision slogan? Like what does that look like? What's that next step look
Yeah.
like?
That's interesting that you said, do I come up with a vision slogan? Like there's some people who are out here trying to be like the road runner in their business. And they're like, I gotta get this done. I gotta get my branding colors. I gotta get a branding shoot. I gotta do this, and that. Like, just spend time with your ideas. Spend time, let it marinate. It's like you're getting ready for a barbecue, and like, do you just season the chicken one time and then throw it on the grill? No, you let that marinate. You let the juices seep in, so it's delicious. So when I work with people, yeah, we've gone over the roadblock, we've decluttered. Now we're working on your message. What is your message? What
Mm.
that when you talk about it, like you can't shut up. That people have to be like, okay, okay, we've heard you talk about goldfish. Enough. We get it. You like goldfish. Enough. But that's your thing. You could talk about it forever and forever and forever. And we go and we search. What are those things that when you talk about it, you feel good, you feel experienced and knowledgeable in it, and that
Hmm.
you could just grab any microphone or go in front of any audience and say it out loud. That requires time. It's not
Mm.
it's not just like, oh, yeah, I'm going to talk about content creation. I had a coaching call last week with someone, and she's like, yeah, I want to talk about content creation. I go, do you like talking about content creation? Because when I watch your videos, you don't sound like you like talking about it. Like, are you talking about it because that's what's trendy? Are you talking about it because that's where the money's at? Or are you talking about it because you know that's what you know? And when you open your mouth, you come to life. Like,
You have to have correct me if I'm wrong. You have to have a why behind what you do, right? You have to have a
yeah,
sense of intentionality, purpose, drive, right? And I
you
think
have to be connected to what you have to say. So when we talk about having an
yes.
authentic voice, it's being connected, it's being invested. It's that when you talk about it, like you just feel like your whole body is moving with your words, because this is something that you need people to feel or know or to understand. That's how your true authentic voice comes out, not by your branding colors and making sure everything's perfectly articulated. It's that passion. And I find that a lot of speakers this day are lacking the passion. They have the message, but the finishing ingredient is the passion, and they don't have that.
The spice of meatball. You got to put that spice in. But you
Yeah.
know what? You know what? You said so many things there. I totally get you, because one of the things I encourage people to do is to, number one, understand in business, people buy from people they like. People
Yeah.
don't just buy from people that have 1,000 followers or 10,000 followers, or just have a great product. There are people out there right now that have amazing products, but people don't like them. Like they just don't have a likable sensibility about them.
Yeah.
Their voice isn't coming out the right way or in an authentic way, and they're
Yeah.
not necessarily seeing the results that they want. And
Yeah.
this and for those of you that are watching right now, this is not a conversation just about, okay, I'm selling something. This is how people like you, so that you
No.
can sell more things. This is about the transcendent nature of understanding innately who and what your voice is, and then being able to project that out.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, as creative entrepreneurs and brands, you are your brand. So there's no running away from your voice, right? So if you're not comfortable with your voice or not comfortable in your own skin, then it's going to rub off on your business, whether you like it or not.
Absolutely.
You know, but what you were saying, like all of those things that you're saying, can you kind of tell me a little bit about your journey, your story of finding your voice?
Oh yeah. So I was that kid, that kid. And I was the kid who talked excessively. It didn't matter who you put me next to, what room you put me in, what corner, what hallway, I talked. And my mom was a young immigrant mother, and she was kind of made to believe that my excessive talking was a problem. Jamila's a social butterfly. If only Jamila talked less and listened more. Well, I'm getting paid now. How about that, Miss Ben? How about that?
Exactly. No, it's the same thing with me. I mean, I grew up doing acting, and I used to lock myself in my parents' room, and like I used to dance and imagine telling stories and being in,
Yeah.
like taking myself to another place. And now I'm doing that with film and doing that with the arts. So it's like, you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
But
It's sorry,
it
go ahead,
takes
go ahead.
time. It takes time though, right?
Yeah.
And so again, for years I thought this was a problem. For years. And I was always trying to play it safe. And then when I got into grade 5, there was the announcement club. Did you ever do the morning announcements?
You were one of those kids?
Oh, guys, let me tell you, when I came in for the morning announcements, if you were on like an average, like typical kid, like a basic kid,
Yeah.
you only got to stop at the desk of the secretary. But because I was the dawn of the announcement club, I got to go behind the desk. I was like, Cheryl, Michael, how's it going? How's the family? What's on the docket today? Pizza? Milk? Okay. And I
Yeah.
owned my voice on the announcement club. So
Wow.
again, going through high school, I was still that talker. It was still a problem.
Yeah.
I ran for student council. I won. And then when I graduated from college, my mom's advice to me was don't be basic. And I was like, okay, like what do you mean don't be basic? She's like, just don't do whatever, what everyone else is doing. Okay, got it. So I decided because my background was in special education, I went to approach Rogers TV to talk about Autism Awareness Month. I watched the interview, I looked good, my sound and my voice was good, but I didn't like my answers. I took it as a moment to reflect. So I decided to reapproach Rogers and with a different concept. And when I went online on their application, I thought I was suggesting what show I wanted to be on. I accidentally pitched a TV show.
What? Wait. So you pitched the TV show instead of pitching just a segment,
Yeah, yeah.
and then what happened?
And then I had a TV show for 6 seasons.
You're killing me right now.
Yes.
And and
I
and and it just and it just what? Explain that to me. So you put in the form, and then they call you back and say
So
we
I
love this
put in a
idea.
form online.
Yeah.
Then the producer's like, oh, I want to have a meeting. I was like, why? Like the last segment, we didn't do all this, but okay. So we're sitting there in a meeting. The guy's talking about shows, and I'm like, what is this man talking about? But I'm faking it until I'm making it, right? I'm like, I'm a solo artist. I don't really do things like The View. Like, I don't want to squad. Like, it's just more me. I'm just going with this. And then my mom, when I came home, my mom's like, how was this meeting? I'm like, I think I pitched a TV show. So 3 days later, he emailed me. He's like, Rogers liked it. They want a pilot episode. What's a pilot episode? Hey, Google, what's a pilot episode? So I went on Google, looked at the format, how to make a pilot episode. 3 weeks later, recorded said pilot episode. And then they told me, okay, you got a TV show. I had no TV background. I did not go to broadcasting school. I had zero desire to be on TV. So I was learning at that moment how
Wow.
to own my voice. And the thing was, the only person when we talk about representation in media, it's a real thing because the only person I could really look at was Oprah. So my first season of my show, I was trying to sound like Oprah. And that's why the first season of my show was so icky because that wasn't me. That wasn't how I should sound. I wasn't being my true jam self. So like oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no. I just want to jump in. For those of you that are watching, I'm with Gimbal, and she is telling us just dropping gems with regards to how to find your authentic voice. Now, as creatives, as business professionals, as individuals, we have a moment to pivot. This is a pivoting point for all of us. We're all at home in some shape, way, or capacity. Some of us are still working, but some of us may be at a place where we want to pivot, we want to change directions.
Yeah.
The best way to do that, first and foremost, is to figure out who you are, what you like, what are your passions, what are the things that come alive in you, and then really channeling that into an authentic voice, your authentic voice. And that's what we're talking about today. So as you're watching this, please feel free, ask questions, share this stream on your feed, put hashtags in, do whatever you need to do, throw it on Instagram, LinkedIn, wherever, reshare it, because we want this conversation to be alive beyond just this live. So continue on, Jam. Go ahead.
Yeah. So like, that's why the first season was so whack, because that wasn't me. So while I was doing that show, again, I had zero background in working in television. I was not only the host of my show, but I was the producer. So I was sourcing out my guests. I was creating my content. For the 6 seasons I had my show, I had no notes and no teleprompter. So when what you saw...
Hold on, don't say anything else. Let's take a moment, pause and reflect on that. No notes, no teleprompter.
No.
So here's the thing. when you are gifted, when you are truly gifted with whatever, and I believe everybody has gifts. Yeah. Everybody has talents. But when you find that thing that you know nobody else can do like you, it's not to say that you don't prepare, but there's a certain level of flow. And you understand what I mean by that. You jump into this, like, it's like this river, this stream, and it's like when you're in there, nobody else can touch what you're doing at that moment in time. So that's just crazy to me, in the sense, crazy good, in the sense of like how you could do 6 seasons of a show, not have notes and not have a teleprompter. When that's basically what television is, pretty much.
And you could see it in my episodes. You could see on the table, there is no device. There is no notes. My hands are free. And this is Rogers TV, baby. They don't have a teleprompter. That's money. So.
Money.
Yeah. So that just being in television, that's for the first time in my life, I trusted my voice. I trusted what I was saying. We only did 10 retakes in the entire time of my show. And that was usually because it was like a technical glitch. It wasn't because I stuttered or I messed up. It was like, oh, the camera wasn't on. Oh, your audio's being rubbed on your earrings. Otherwise, like, that was I think God put me in that position, not only to talk about disability awareness and education in the community, but to really own my voice. And that just spiraled my career into like everything that I'm doing today.
Wow. And you know what you said, just that final piece that you said, in terms of like, it was that whole 6 years. 6 years. Let's think about it. 6 seasons.
Oh,
sorry, 6 seasons, 3 years, even 3 years. A lot of people look at that and say, well, I don't have time to spend 3 years on my voice. I need to make money now. I need to build my brand now. There's people that, have leveled up from, 5,000 followers or subscribers to now 20,000. And it's like, yeah, but our, my friend O'Shane always says it like this. He says, O'Shane Howard, he says, do you want to make disposable content, or do you want to make something that lasts the test of time? Do you want to create conversations and spark dialogue that's going to move forward the conversation in culture and in people's psyche, and give people a different perspective on life? Or do you want to just kind of do things that are, trendy one day and not the other? So it's really about those sort of ideas. And then also understanding, like, refining your voice also requires you to be dedicated to making mistakes, learning from those mistakes, and growing from that. And one of the things I always say to people is, like, this project is really a launching pad or a stepping stone for the next really big project. And so you got to concentrate your effort a lot of times on doing the best you can do with what you know here, because once you graduate, then you'll have all of this information plus everything else below it, right? So just talk a little bit about that. So you graduate from...
But I love that you brought up money. I love that you brought up money, because I was on Rogers TV, okay? Rogers TV is a community station. Guess how much I got paid to work on Rogers?
$10,000.
Nothing, okay? being a community TV host, it's a voluntary position. So I had a lot of people who are like, oh my God, so you're putting in all this time and effort to source out your guests, you're buying your own clothes, you're doing all these things and you're not getting paid. I'm like, listen, I get paid in three ways: money, opportunity, and blessing. And right now, what I'm doing is building my opportunity. And the fact that I'm amplifying voices that society does not like to hear is filling my blessing bank. So you stay there with your check. I got three accounts. What you got? Nothing.
Okay. I just need to put some of that. I'm just throwing up the fingers in the air because that was DJ Foghorns right now because that was fire. That was absolutely
I said what I
fire.
said.
But here's the thing. I think the key thing that you said is that you have to redefine what value is.
Yes.
Because if value is only based upon currency, then I think we're missing the point totally. Because the reality is that I think currency, and when I say currency, I'm talking about money, right? Money is really a byproduct of the true value that you can pull out of yourself to market yourself. You see what I'm saying? So when you do have an authentic voice, that adds value to somebody else's life, and then they want to pay you, they want to invest in you because they see the value that they're getting from you being authentic, right? So let's talk a little bit about that. So then you transition and you get you got some money, you got your what were the three things again?
Money, opportunity, and blessing.
There you go. Money, opportunity, and blessings. Let's talk about the next opportunity after your 6 seasons. What was that like?
TEDx. So when I think about speakers, Mike, what do speakers do? They're like TED Talk speakers. Now, I know I'm not going to be touching a TED stage anytime soon, but I could go for TEDx. So I went and I impulsively applied to TEDx. My mom's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. I'm just trying things here. So I applied to be a TEDx speaker. They contacted me and said, yeah, thanks for your submission. We think you'd be better suited as a host. And I was like, oh, okay. So part of the process is you get hooked. Now, I'm telling you this story because it plays into who I am now. Okay?
Okay.
Again, God had a plan. So I impulsively applied to be a TEDx speaker. Get hooked up with a speaking coach. Now, part of the process on TEDx is that you have to prepare your speech. And as the host, I have to have an intro to each speaker, and an outro. Because I'm talking for 8 hours that day, right? And so when the speaking coach said, "Yeah, I need a copy of your speech," I was like, "Yeah, I don't do speeches. Like, I don't write what I'm gonna say. I just say it." She's like, "No, we don't do that here." I'm like, "But I'm a free butterfly. That's what I do. I wing it." And she's like, "Yeah, no, you have to prepare your speech." And I was like, "Listen here, Cindy. This is my TV show that I've had for 3.5 seasons so far. These are some of my YouTube videos. No notes, no teleprompter. If I'm going to do what I do best, I need you to trust me and let me wing it." They let me wing TEDx.
And just so people understand that they don't let you wing anything in TEDx. Like I actually volunteered last year with a couple of colleagues of mine, and I was blown away at how meticulous they are and how calculated they are about every single bit of dialogue, the way things are marketed, the way things are presented. So you're blowing my mind right now.
Yeah, so then she let me wing it. And then when the day was done, she came up to me and gave me her business card. And she goes, "Here's my card, but this is not for you. This is for someone who needs it because you clearly have something that you haven't tapped into." Fast forward 4 years later, I'm now a public speaking coach. What?
I mean, I don't even know where to start there. But I think here's the thing: when you understand the authenticity of your voice, and you mix that with understanding your purpose,
Yes.
your God-given purpose, and your gifts,
Yeah.
then all of that creates what I call a brew of dopeness. Okay,
Yeah.
That's your dope. That's your secret sauce. And then, like you said before, opportunities come out of things that you wouldn't even expect. I remember, being a part of I'm a part of a group of collective creatives, and there was a lot of like free work I was doing, just style shoots and different things like that. And then that opened up opportunities for me to go travel to places I've never been to before, to work with brands I've never worked with, to work with countries, travel tourism departments of countries. Like this little nappy-headed boy from Toronto.
It led to the next thing, next thing.
but it all came out of me understanding my voice, understanding my purpose, and then
Yeah.
understanding the difference between getting paid and an opportunity. And there's nothing wrong with getting paid, but getting paid can't always trump a
Yeah.
really good strategic opportunity,
Yeah.
right? And I mean, TEDx is a great example of that
And the
because
key thing between the two stories you and I have shared is not only understanding your voice, it's trusting. Because that's the
mm,
theme in both of those examples I share with you, from Rogers to TEDx. I was not understanding, I was trusting my ability to say what I know I can say. I trusted my words, I trusted the meaning behind my words, I trusted the intentions of my words, and therefore that's why it worked, because
okay.
trust wasn't
So
involved.
so then let's talk about this. I want you to really break down what trusting your voice, or
Yeah.
trusting your inner voice looks like to everybody that's here, because I think this is all well and good, but I think if we can give some practical examples
Yep.
of how we can do that, that'd be amazing as well.
For sure. So when we talk about, like, let's use marketing, for example, right? Especially with content creators or anybody who's watching right now, when we think about trust, I think trust is, I think some people are superficially trusting themselves. So they're trusting the trends, right? They're like, okay, this is the method, this is the approach, that's what's worked for other people. But you know within yourself, that's not in alignment with your values. It's not in alignment with your brand. That's not your style. That's not how it's meant to be delivered. So when you trust your ability, you trust your voice, you trust your thoughts, you trust your ideas, you trust that, you know what I'm putting out is meant to be put out the way it's put out, even if it doesn't get all the clout, even if it doesn't get all the reshares, even if it doesn't give me all the opportunities right now, I'm going to put it out there and I'm going to send it out there. And I know that when it's meant to land, it will land. It may not
Mm.
land now, but it will land in the time that it's meant to land. And guess what? I'm confident. I believe in what I put out. I believe in what I said.
You know what? You're actually speaking to me, because I'll be, full transparency. I don't know if people are even digging these lives. I don't know if people are digging my content a lot of times, but I have this inner gut voice that knows that I have something to share to the world,
Yeah.
to give to the community, and I just believe that it's so important that it needs to be shared. You follow what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
what you're saying is speaking deep to me, because I realize at times you can get very discouraged because you're looking at the numbers of the thing instead of
Yeah.
the actual impact.
Yeah.
Impact and numbers are not the same, right?
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
talk a little bit. What do you think about that sort of idea of impact versus numbers?
I try my very hardest to ignore numbers as much as possible. To me, impact has a more long lasting value associated to it. So, sure, you have 474 people watch something, but then how many comments do you have? How many people have messaged you afterwards and say, hey, thank you, that hit me. I felt that. You could have all these views, but you have nobody who's actually receiving it. So I focus more on who's receiving it. And if it's one person only, that's one more than I anticipated, right? So when
Yeah.
we think about the impact, and especially if you are in the business of impact, then you're going to not focus as much on the insight, right? The
Yeah.
impact is where the weight and the bulk is, that you're like, you know what, I'm putting this out, even if it got four people tuning in, maybe one person's going to watch this live right now and go, wow, you know what, I've been holding back on sharing my story, I'm going to go share it today. And then you encourage one person who's now going to go encourage five more people. Like, it's a domino effect. So the impact that we desire to see and have, there is no number. It's blank. It's blank, right? It's limitless, it's boundless. And that's where I put my attention to.
That's amazing, and I think when I hear you speak, I'm thinking to myself, I'm an analogy type of guy, right? So
Me
follow me on this.
too.
It's like we like cousins. I mean, where you been all my life, girl? But one of the things I think about is when you are creating content, when you are uh, uh, presenting yourself out there, think of yourself as a farmer. Okay, a farmer plants today to reap 6, 8, 10 months from now,
Yeah.
and they understand that I can't plant today, right, into the ground, put a seed into the ground today, and tomorrow reap tomatoes and corn and whatever
Hmm.
else, right? There's a process by which I have to be patient. I have to have a level of belief that in the process, and also I have to also have a level of vision
Yeah.
beyond just my immediate desires right now. And I think there's so much you can learn from farming. I'm actually, I just got one of those, I don't know, one of those boxes, those
Oh,
not
Arrow
farmer box.
Garden.
Yeah, yeah. I like my neighbor makes those garden boxes kind of
Oh,
thing,
yeah,
those
yeah,
wood
yeah.
boxes. You can tell I'm not one of those people, but
We got one.
I'm gonna put some soil in there. I'm gonna put some tomato seeds. I'm gonna put some herbs and stuff like that, and I'm gonna cultivate a little garden for my family. And I think in doing so, I'm gonna learn so much about the process of how to share and cultivate content and cultivate your audience. And I think everything that we're saying really ties back to that level of patience and embracing the process instead of running away from it.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about like
Yeah.
what are some of the I guess some of the stumbling blocks for some of your clients that you work with that you've seen throughout the years in terms of them finding their voice and also presenting their voice in the right way?
Yeah, so now because everything is so instant, right? Before we'd have to wait until somebody invited us to speak. Now we could just go live and speak whenever we want to, and we post a photo and it has instant traction. Like we're living in a very instant world that I find that some of the people I've worked with, they want things instantly. Right. So they want when they put that seed in that it's going to blossom now. And then someone's gonna want to buy it for 29.99. Like
Yep.
it doesn't work like that. So when we think about patience, we talk a lot about patience, but we don't talk a lot about trust. And again, trust is knowing that when you plant that seed, you know what? Although I can't put my face in the soil, I trust that the roots are growing. I trust that when it's meant to, it's gonna come. I can't see it right now, but it's gonna come. Patience, we know patience, but trust is all about your confidence in yourself, right?
Yeah, no, exactly, and it's in the confidence of knowing who you are and whose you are. And I think you're hitting so many. There's just so many comments. I got to put up some of these comments
Oh, there's
because
comments?
there's tons of comments.
I
I mean,
can't see anything.
I know. I'm gonna pop it up now. Don't worry. I'm gonna put it up now because there's so many things. So like, Corey Silver says, she says at Jam, your authenticity and sincerity is tangible. Bless you. We got
Oh,
from Tina or AI. Sis, impact is where it's at. Thanks for saying that. Who else is there? We have Sheldon. He says, "Oh, I don't know you guys knew each other." Oh, so so that's Shadona. Shadona says hi.
oh,
Who else is there? Yeah. We have so many things. Another comment. Yo, sis is life. So people are like just saying, man, you are giving them so much life. Matt,
oh.
where do you get this drive from? Where do you get this passion from? Because again, it has to come from some sort of reservoir deeper than just some sort of superficial thing.
To be honest, growing up, I had teachers who didn't, I had a few teachers who believed in me, and I had some who totally underestimated me. So, being in education for the past 10 years, so in addition to what I do, I'm a proud educator. And so I strive to be the role model, the teacher that I always needed. And growing up, I didn't see speakers who looked like me. I didn't know business women could be Black. The first Black woman I saw in business was Omarosa. Like I'm talking back in the day Omarosa, not now Omarosa, but like back in the day Omarosa.
Hold on, hold on. Who knows who Omarosa is? Anybody that's 30 years or younger probably doesn't know who Omarosa is. But all I have to say is apprentice. You're fired. Go ahead.
Yes. I wanted to be her because when I saw her on TV, she embodied strength and power and confidence and all these things that I didn't see growing up. I wanted to be that and I wanted to inspire people to be that too. So, what gives me life, what gives me the energy to get up every morning, first off, every client I sign, every event I go to, every school I speak at, before I walk in that building, I say, God, give me the energy to do your work. Always, always. Of course, I'm the slayer of the might, but there's someone who's slaying me so I could slay them, right? There's a whole process there. So because I truly walk in what I say and practice what I preach and believe in the impact I could create, it just resonates. It just glows. But if you're out here trying to like be something you're not, you're dishing out aspartame. I am brown sugar.
Brown sugar, yes, sir. That's what your husband say to you. Come here, brown sugar. Yes, she ready. Listen, there's so many more questions I want to ask you. We got about less than 30 minutes. I don't want to be respectful of everybody's time.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you can you tell me or think about a memory of something impactful that happened to you when you presented and when you shared your authentic voice? What are some of those memories that come to your mind that just keep you going, that keep you inspired?
Oh goodness. Okay.
Uh oh,
I gotta pull this.
she's pulling up her iPad now. Okay, hold on, let me
First
get
of all,
my
it's
I got my
phone.
bubbly. Oh, it's a phone. Okay, I got my bubbly. This is not sponsored by them, but it's the blackberry flavor. I'm
Okay.
just pulling it up. I don't
So
drink tea.
okay. I a couple of months ago, so part of the what I do is I'm also a speaker in elementary and middle schools. I speak at all schools really when I think about it. And a couple of weeks ago, I was speaking at elementary school in Milton. So I remember I walked into the gym and I didn't take note of it at first, but there wasn't a lot of black students and there was no black teachers now that I could think about it. And so I was there to talk about mental health. And when I go to a school talk, I show up as Jam. So I wear my yellow sneakers, I wear a t-shirt, I'm trying to be fun and professional for the kids, right? And later in the week, a mom sent me an email. And now, again, God, right? A school was booking me, another school was booking me for a talk. And one of the girls in the audience, her mom is the chair of the diversity community committee that organizes this event that they were trying to hire me for. So her daughter went home and said, Mommy, we had a black speaker today at school. And she was just beaming with like pride about what she experienced. That her mom said, I was not able to put two and two together. But when I researched, Jam, she was talking about you. So here we are organizing this talk. And then my daughter saw you in action before we did. And I was like, okay. So the email was like, I just want to share how excited I am for our school and our students. I felt it important to share with Jam the amazing success of your presentation. My daughter and her friends came home so excited and full of facts and information. The feedback was that it was interactive, full of facts, and full of examples she could relate to. She was overwhelmed by the delivery and the way both the audience and you, Jam, facilitated, and you blew the kids away, and she thought you were cool. Here's the part that made me cry in the grocery store. She pointed out, Jam, that you are black, intelligent, cool, fashionable, and so relatable. She said she felt proud and so positive after that others shared too how good it was. And the representation meant a lot to her as a black child. She was full of positivity when she came home and was so glad her school made this happen. I was done. I was done. Doesn't matter. Corporate gigs, corporate clout. Oh, I got corporate clients. Oh, I do this. Nothing could touch that email. Nothing could touch a child going home and saying, I saw someone who looks like me and I want to be that. So
Wow.
that's what gives me that boost. Just to like,
That's impact. That's impact. That's
yeah,
impact. That's now we don't know if she's going to be the next Jam. We don't know if she's going to be the next whatever, but now she can see,
yeah,
she visually has an image of
yeah.
something she can strive for if she wants that, or you know what I mean, like it's just that's powerful. That story is powerful.
I
Very
cried.
powerful. Oh my gosh. Well, listen, if you guys, for those of you that are watching, I'm speaking with Jam. Jam is the slayer of mics, tea drinker, fashionista. You can no, bring the other mic. Show the other mic. I said to her when she showed me this mic, I said, this mic saying, girl, I'm tired, girl. I'm tired. You slayed me too much. I'm so tired. It's like limp and stuff. She has all those mics. But listen, if you have questions about finding your authentic voice, if you have questions about just really trying to really figure out how you're going to navigate and what you're trying to do in terms of pivoting in this season, hit us up. Let us know. Ask us questions. We really want to be able to share with you our knowledge. I'm trying to create this platform, Creative to Creative, because I know that there's so many creative individuals right now hurting, struggling, trying to figure
Yeah.
out what they're trying to do. And here's the thing, you are so much more than just what you do. You are so much more than just, you know, the last photo that you took, or the last, you know, logo that you designed, or the last website that you created. You have something inside of you that needs to come out. You know,
Yep.
you have a special voice. You have I put it this way, the thing that every person has to bring to the world is their unique perspective. And the
Yeah.
uniqueness of your perspective is going to be the new currency and the new way that we really do business moving forward, because it's not just about, oh, come here, do a shoot, or, you know, take this product and change it into this. It's about what do you bring? What's the uniqueness that you bring to this project? How do you see the world? Because I want to hire people that have a uniqueness and trust their voice enough to go with that unique perspective. So I'm really, really excited about this. Do you have any questions, guys? Let us know. We got about 20 minutes left. I just want to ask you, what are some of the things that you're doing right now, Jam? In
I
terms of like,
mean,
you're just ridiculous, right? You're ridiculous. But in terms
besides
of,
eating 2 bowls of cinnamon toast crunch a day,
listen, don't make me go to No Frills right now and buy a box of cinnamon
oh,
toast
yo,
Crunch.
I stocked up. I bought 3.
So I can see it now. In the middle of a pandemic, you're not running to get toilet paper. It's cinnamon toast crunch. I can't with you.
I'm not even lying though, like I do. What am I
Yeah.
doing? So before the pandemic,
Yeah.
I was en route to having my most successful year yet in my business. So between March and June, I had 10 events lined up.
Oh
I
wow.
had master classes lined up. My program was supposed to be going across Canada in the upcoming months. I had all these things lined up, and then the pandemic happened. So I got punched in the gut, like many of us did. And what I realized that was hurting the most was my ego,
Mm,
right? We talk about the fear of missing out. I was experiencing the fear of missing money, right? I
mm,
had all these events lined up. I had all the invoices. I saw how much I was set to make, and it stung that I was going to be losing all of that in
mm,
a just like in a snap of a finger.
mm.
So, we're talking about pivoting. I think this is the most we've ever used the word pivot. Like usually it's like in basketball, but now we all out here pivoting. I mean, I don't even ball. Like I'm 5'11", but I'm out here pivoting like pivoting. Like, you know what I
Hold
mean?
on, you're taller than me. Anyways, next.
That's not my fault. So yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm out here pivoting, but just like everyone's taking their business online, right?
Mm,
And there's some people who are intimidated by that. And they're like, but everyone's coming online. I'm like, but do you want to eat? Do you have bills to pay? So ignore the fact that everybody and their dog is coming online and bring yourself too. Like show up. So I'm launching a webinar. I'm doing a webinar next week because my masterclass got canceled. So I'm doing a slate of my webinar next week. And I'm really excited to see the group that I have coming out to help them work on building their voice online. Because that, again, that is something that does deter a lot of people. They're scared to speak in their stories. They're scared to go live. They're scared to say out loud, listen, my business is bomb. You should invest in it. Like, so I'm going to give people that confidence next week.
that's dope. That's dope. Well, listen, we have another question coming in. So this is a question. It says, I'm looking to start a podcast, but the ideas are so vague: speech therapy, mental health, social justice, humanity, empathy, kindness. How can I help bring together these messy, vague ideas into a refined voice?
So my question to whoever that is would be, are you planning on doing this podcast by yourself or are you planning on interviewing people?
That's good. That's good. We don't know right now, but we'll wait to see what the answer is. But what would once we get that sort of answer, what are
Yeah.
some of the things that? First of all, do you have a podcast?
I
I
do
didn't
have
check
a
out.
podcast.
Okay, I'm so sorry because that was one thing I
It's
didn't
okay.
check
I
out
don't
yet. But
podcast. I'm not a frequent podcaster.
mm,
Like I don't like to be creative on demand. You'll get my podcast when I feel like it.
yeah, I can't with you. Oh, we got a response here. Let me go back here. I want to take a story lens or a story lane.
Okay. So again, like, are you just going to be talking by yourself or are you going to be
Oh,
interviewing people?
with expert voices.
Okay, so expert voices is great, but the key word you used was stories. So why not get people who've gone through those topics that you're talking about and have them share their story? That way it's way more real, raw, and relatable. And of course, have the experts too. But podcasting, I find, is so much easier when you're doing it with somebody else. And especially when you're talking about mental health. And listen, there's a ton of mental health podcasts, but what is yours going to do that others aren't doing? What's going to make yours sound different? What kind of stories are you sharing that people that don't typically get to be shared? So think about like what direction you want to go in. And if it's the same direction that everyone else is going, then you need to do a U-turn and go the other way so that you can make yourself stand out.
That's good. That's good. That's good. Any more questions? Questions? This is the time to ask the questions to the expert the Slayer of mics, the oh, look at that, she's getting jiggy with it. Listen, I have a question for you actually. So
Yeah.
first of all, would you like to be on my podcast? I want you to be on my podcast.
Yeah, sure. Let's go. Let's podcast.
The
Right after
podcast
this?
right after this. Oh, they said thanks. They said thanks. It's amazing. This is what we're doing this platform for. We're doing it to be able to provide resources for you. We want you to be able to ask questions. But in terms of my podcast, I do have a podcast called Story Over Everything. It's all about talking to or speaking to the 17-year-old version of yourself, and it is an amazing podcast because I get like not. I don't think they're average people. They're actual great people that seem like they're just chilling out, just living their life like it's golden, but their stories are so unique and
Then
unique to
I'm not
them.
the right person, Tristan, because I'm not average. Yeah.
I know you're not average at all. I know you're not average at all. But guess what? Guess what? None of my guests are either, and
Okay,
that's the trick
cool.
about it. Yeah, yeah.
I can roll with
So
you then.
yeah, absolutely. So tell us a little bit about your podcast, though. You were saying that your
Yeah.
podcast is when you feel like posting it, which
Yeah.
is hilarious. But when you do feel like posting it, what are some of the things that you talk about in your podcast?
Yeah, so in the past episodes, so like in season 1 and 2 of Slay the Mic podcast, obviously it's called Slay the Mic podcast. I talk to speakers from different backgrounds and ask them how they slay the mic in their environment. So I talked to a lawyer. I've talked to motivational speakers. Because again, when we think about voices, we always go for the voices that are like the most critically acclaimed, most clout, biggest following. And I just want to talk to people about what their journey was in discovering their voice in hopes of giving people that confidence to share their voice and their story as well. So did that for 2 seasons. And in the season that I'm currently working on is because I'm an educator as well, is amplifying student voices. So I'm talking to teachers about how they are amplifying student voice in the classroom.
That's amazing. So so I guess for me, my question is, for those that are watching right now, right, and they're like, okay, cool, I can find my voice. I understand that the importance of finding my authentic voice, but I just don't know what's the next step for me. Maybe I lost my job. Maybe I'm at
Yeah.
home. How do I plan? How do I plan to get to this next level where I start sharing my voice? And how do I get the courage to go on camera or go on a live or do a video or do a podcast? Can you talk to that person for me?
Yeah. The advice I'll give you is in 3 words. It's in your time. Even though that we're all pivoting, there's this desire that we need to get it all done now. And that we're like, okay, I got 3 months to get my act together. No, you don't. You have your time to get your act together. So maybe somebody else next to you has already built their website, launched their business, and already has business coming in. For you right now, it's you need to heal. You need to heal and you need to get yourself in the zone before you move forward and build and put life into a business. Because what I've seen a lot of people doing is that they're building this business while they themselves are breaking down. And if you are breaking down, if you are not where you're supposed to be emotionally, then your business is not going to take off in the way that it's meant to be as well. So first off, like, take care of you, make sure you're good. I know it sounds like fluffy advice, but really be kind to yourself. Like I was telling Tristan before this, like yesterday, I had zero mojo. I did not open my iPad. I wasn't caring to like respond to emails. I had 2 bowls of cinnamon toast crunch, 2 bowls of pasta, and then I made craft dinner. I did business. I was fed. I was happy. And today I'm back in the zone. I'm feeling productive today. So 1, take care of yourself. 2, really don't follow the trend. Okay? You don't have to be current to be relevant. So if you're going and you're finding, okay, everyone's talking about content creation, check yourself. Have you ever talked about content creation? Have you ever shown any of that? So now you're doing it because everyone else is doing it? It's bound to flop. So be like what you're gonna put out there, it better be an extension of you. It better be something that you are ready to invest yourself in and you believe in, because then it's gonna unravel itself the way it's supposed to be, right? The way you pivot is not how someone else is going to pivot, and how they pivot is not the way you're meant to pivot. You're going to pivot in the direction you need to go in. And maybe your pivot is just like, you're not moving right now, but just because you're still doesn't mean you're not actually active. You're still, and you're thinking, you're reflecting. So be cautious on your pivot. Like, take your time with it.
I like that. I like that. Be cautious on your pivot. and also giving yourself space. I was
Yeah.
sharing with you just before we got on this chat. I have friends who are therapists, and one of my friends said, give yourself permission to feel your feelings
Yeah.
in this process. You got to feel your feelings. I have kids, I have a wife, I have a lot of moving parts. My business is pretty much stalled, but I found different ways to still be productive, and
Mhm.
also I still what I realized was my productivity was also an excuse for me to not actually confront my feelings about the whole situation. So
Yes.
then once I stopped being productive for a couple of days or a couple of hours, then I was confronted with all these, these anxious thoughts, frustration, all this stuff that was pent up. And I had to realize I got to give myself space and pace myself, so that I'm not just busy, 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 and then I never actually give myself time to mourn the loss of business or of opportunities or of things that are just
Yeah.
real human emotions.
Yeah, yeah. That was me
Yeah,
too. I realized that I was masking myself like by being busy. And just because I was busy, I felt a sense of normalcy
yeah,
when
yeah,
actually it wasn't healthy at all. Like I
hmm,
was completely in denial of how I was coping.
yeah.
So, yeah, yesterday I had my day to do that and then guess what? Like the next day I'm feeling renewed, restored and I'm like, let's go. Like let's start putting things out here. Now, here's my other advice for people who are wanting to put things out. Okay? So maybe there's an idea that's been sitting in your archives, right? And not your desktop archives, not your notebook archives, but the archive of your heart. Maybe there's something that's been sitting there that you've been wanting to talk about, you've been wanting to put out there, you've been hesitant. Let me ask you something. What's the worst that could happen? We're already dealing with what the worst is right now, first of all. So, what is the worst that could happen? It flops, it doesn't take off as quickly, you might not make money right away, but the best thing that could happen is that you birthed it, that you gave some kind of life and attention to it, right? So I've had some things that I was sitting on, and I was like, well, I don't know, and I'm like, you know what? As long as it's not bringing name like shame to my family name, like my mom's not going to disown me, it's worth trying. Like,
Mm.
go ahead and try it. Like, even if it's not the most popular thing, even if it's not the most like trendy thing, just try it anyway. And then just like try and fail. Because my business, my public speaking program, what it was 4 years ago, is not what it is now. I have gone, I've moved, I've stopped, I've messed up, I've reevaluated. And now the product I'm putting out there, I stand so strong behind it because it's a labor of love. So start that process of just putting things out there, trying it, feeling it out, and nurturing it. And now nurturing it is not necessarily launching it, right?
Explain that to me. Explain that to me.
Right. So again, being in this zone of, oh my gosh, everyone's pivoting, everyone's quick to prematurely launch. So when you're nurturing something, it's you spending every day talking to it, thinking about it, brainstorming it, maybe putting a little bit something out and seeing what the response is. And then when it's time for you to launch, it's time for you to launch, but not being like, oh, I got to launch something now so I can show people I'm still current, I'm still about it, I'm still working. The reality is a lot of us are hurting and it's okay to hurt and it's okay to be stagnant. It's okay to be idle, but like don't feel that you have to press the go button on something just because that's what everyone else is doing.
Would you say, Jam, that ultimately it's about the long game?
Oh, for sure. Oh,
I
for
think
sure.
I think sometimes we can get lost in the minutia of what that means, and I think there's when you look at a marathon, and the way a marathon runner
I don't
looks.
I don't run, so I wouldn't know what that's like.
Listen, God knows I don't run either. But what I can say is that they're very strategic at how they utilize their energy, and then they
Yes.
always have they have this area, within the last mile, quarter mile, whatever else, where they call it the last push, right? And then
Okay.
there's what I mean. It's like that level of energy that comes knowing that you're almost about to finish, right? And I think a lot of people get excited and expend a lot of their energy in the excitement of starting a thing, but don't understand that this is a marathon that we're in. Your life is a marathon, but then also your projects are a marathon, and you have to understand the ebbs and flows of the
Yeah.
game, and of the race.
With
Sorry.
everything that's going on, I don't even think the word's excited. I think it's obligated or pressure. I don't even think the word is excited. I don't even think that's the word right now. I think everyone is like, oh my God, for some people, they've just gotten laid off. They need to come up with something right now. They have mouths to feed, they got bills to pay. So there's a sense of obligation that I need to start something to maintain what I've lost. And then on the flip side, there's, well, everyone is filling their time. Like those stupid memes that have been going out there. If you're not using this period of COVID to do something with your life, you're wasting time. Shut up.
Yeah, like nobody knows nobody I coached that so quickly when that first week, especially when there were people that are going around. They're like, if you're a creative content creator, then this should be like a dream of yours because you have all these eyeballs and you should be doing stuff. Fool. I just lost all these opportunities just like you did. You got laid off. I got laid off in my business. All right.
Do you know what the driving force is of a creative?
Yeah, it's
Energy.
of a
Energy.
of a true creative. That's what I'm saying. Energy. It's not just the bottom line. You know what I mean? Like you have to be inspired. There has to be a level
Yeah.
of inspiration, right?
Yep. Yep.
Wow.
And so when I was pivoting, obviously my business has already been online.
Yeah.
So this was not like a big lesson for me, but I didn't feel ready yet to launch my webinar. I didn't feel I needed to get through my feelings. I needed to kind of evaluate a few things and ask myself what was the reason why I felt so inclined to put out a webinar? Was it because everyone else was doing it, or because this is an idea that I think I need to put out there? And I had to spend some time with that. And then when I felt that my energy was in alignment with my idea, then I knew my launch was going to be successful.
Well, listen, this has been it's 11:55. I want to be respectful. Thank you guys for all watching. We're about to close. I have two more questions. There's one from the comment section, and then
Okay.
there's just one in terms of how we can get in touch with you.
Sure.
This is from Dean Richards. He says, "I have a YouTube channel with my wife. We discuss current topics to encourage people. How do we promote it?"
Do you have a mouth? Do you have fingers to type? That's how you just go out there and you're like, listen, me and my hot wife, my hot smart wife,
Sexy wife. Yeah.
we're launching a YouTube channel and we want you to watch. There's a difference between saying we're launching something and we really appreciate your support versus we're launching something and we want you to watch. You need to watch this. So the way I built myself was not by waiting until somebody said I was worthy of being heard. I told you need to hear me. I told you need to take this in and that's going to fix your life and make you feel better about yourself. So if you stand behind your YouTube channel, if you're excited about it, let us feel that excitement. It has to come from you first before it comes from us.
That's good, and that's what I live by. If it's not alive in you first, it's not going to be alive in anybody else, right? So you have to walk with that energy and that excitement, and also, you know what? It doesn't hurt to be your own hype man. Like, obviously everybody knows about the whole Teddy Riley and Babyface.
Let's not talk about that. Let's not.
But here's the funny thing. Everybody needs one of those guys jumping and dancing in the background, right? Everybody needs a hype man. So I think we need to also be our own hype men and hype up things. You know what I mean? So anyways, this has been an amazing conversation. Time is almost up. Please tell us where we can get a hold of you. Chicka chicka jam.
Well, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at I am Jam Gamble. You can also find me on my website, iamjamgamble.com. Jam isn't everything because I'm that sweet.
Hey! Oh, hold on. Well, listen, I'm gonna throw up an applause for you. Thank you so much. Oh no, that's not the applause. That's a. There you go. I'm gonna applause for you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
To all the people that are watching, thank you so much for joining us. You guys have been an amazing group of just individuals and viewers. The comments have been bananas. For those of you that want to know, I have a few more lives happening. One is happening today at 2 p.m. Back right on my Facebook channel. We're going to be talking about how to take your creativity and turn it into curriculum. How to take your creativity and turn it into curriculum. I'm really excited about that talk. That's going to be with my homegirl, AI Anomaly, and she is a multidisciplined artist from Buffalo, New York. She is doing this. She has gallery showcases. She does education for children as well as adults. It's going to be great time. And then that's going to be at 2 p.m. Tomorrow, I'm going to be doing a Zoom call, a Zoom presentation with Launchpad about how to create evergreen content. So that's how to manage and create evergreen content. This is content that you can shoot and create once and utilize in perpetuity, right? So, you know what I mean? So like a podcast, instead of just recording the video or audio, you record the video, then you send out the audio as the podcast episode, then you send out the YouTube clip, then you make that YouTube clip into an Instagram clip, then you put it on LinkedIn, then you put it on Twitter, and then it becomes evergreen, everlasting, and just crazy. So again, just want to say appreciate everybody for joining us. Have a wonderful day. See you guys at 2 p.m. Jam, you have been phenomenal.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, Matt, continue to be a blessing to people. You are such an encouragement. You are truly the slayer of the mic. Drop the mic, drop the mic, drop the mic. You got to drop the mic. Come on now. Oh, yeah. No. We got to see the mic drop. Come on now. And we're out.
Thank you for listening to the Creative to Creative podcast with Tristan Barracks. Make sure to follow us on all social media platforms. If you would like to be a guest, please email us at info@tristanbarracks.com. Peace.